Catastrophe almost struck European football this week, and what a week it's been. On the 18th of April 2021, an official announcement was made that almost all football fans around the world did not want to hear. The announcement of a European Super League, featuring some of the biggest footballing clubs in the world. Now, I'm going to set the foundation for today's conversation with the important information that pertains to this ESL. That way we're all on the same page and we all have the information for those who may have missed out or on the drama, and also those who may not be fully aware of all the details that this ESL has put out there. So the official press release states that 12 of Europe's leading football clubs have today come together to announce that they have established a midweek competition called the Super League. And the clubs that have come together to found this competition are AC Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, FC Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Tottenham Hotspur. Now, these clubs have come together as the founding clubs. There are 12 teams there coming from England, Italy, and Spain, and there is hopes that there's going to be more clubs coming on board. But going forward, the founding clubs look to be holding discussions with UEFA and FIFA to work together in partnership to deliver the best outcome for this league and football as a whole. The formation of the Super League comes at a time when the global pandemic has accelerated the instability in the existing European football economic model. Further, for a number of years, the founding clubs have had the objective of improving the quality and intensity of exciting European competitions throughout each season, and of creating a format for top clubs and players to compete on a regular basis. The pandemic has shown that a strategic vision and a sustainable commercial approach are required to enhance value and support for the benefit of the entire European football pyramid. In recent months, extensive dialogue has taken place with football stakeholders regarding the future format of European competitions. The founding clubs believe the solutions proposed following these talks do not solve fundamental issues, including the need to provide higher quality matches and additional financial resources for the overall football pyramid. Now, the basic format of this competition would be that there is 20 participating clubs with 15 founding clubs. So those the 12 clubs that we named earlier from England, Italy, and Spain. And there would be a further clubs to come on board to participate in this midweek competition that they state would also be added on top of the already associated domestic competitions that they have been participating in. Now, that is a lot of information, all of it released by the official European Super League competition. Now, in the span of a couple days, we have gone from the founding clubs ready to mobilize and begin the league as early as August to the competition essentially crumbling. The crumbling was all thanks to the uproar in media, internally at the clubs, including players and coaches, but most importantly, the fans. Football is nothing without its fans, and the sport is only as worth as much as it is with them. So it is obvious that these clubs should be listening to their fans so that they can have a say on what happens in this amazing sport that we all love. To break down the highs and lows of the European Super League drama that has unfolded over the last few days, I have brought on two passionate football fans, Doyson and Shubin. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I know it's a lot of information. I know we have plenty of thoughts. Mate, what a crazy last couple of days it's been. What are you guys' initial thoughts on the competition that was announced just a couple of days ago?
Well, I guess when it first came out, I remember waking up to it, and because it was like 7 o'clock our time when the talks came out.
I remember waking up to the news as well.
And I was like, what is going on? Like, why have Arsenal signed onto this? And I remember thinking, what is happening here? This is like, I was panicking. And then the statement got released that it was official, and I was like, this is a mess. Like, we have to turn this around. Yeah, it was a complete disaster, I remember thinking at the time.
I was actually awake for the Man United match that day, and at the halftime report, they actually said that they were going ahead with the plans.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
And that's when I started getting cold. So I'm like, why is this happening? Why would they want to just start their own league? It's like it's like messing up with this. It's like you messing with your fans all over again.
Well, I'll say we should also clearly establish for those at home that don't know, I am obviously a Chelsea fan because I'm representing the Chelsea blue here. Shubin, you're an Arsenal fan, right?
To say the least.
And Manchester United, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So we have that unique perspective of we're all fans of the respective clubs that were associated with this bullshit. And to say bullshit is putting it lightly. I think the fact that this even came into existence to begin with, I think is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I love the way James Corden put it, because I don't know if you saw when he talked about it on his show. He went on like this 7-minute rant about like why it was an issue, and he pretty much said, because like obviously he has a primarily American audience who don't like there's not a lot of football fans over there. The way he put it to them was, what if Viola Davis, Meryl Streep, and like Emma Stone went and made their own Oscars, and they were just like, only we three can win it. The rest of you have like the sub Oscars. I love the way he put that, because it puts things into perspective really well.
That's a good film analogy. I like that. Yeah.
There was another interesting news that part of the news that I saw last night at around 1:00. It was that the Man United fans marched. They broke into the training complex, the first team training complex, marched in, spoke to OGS, spoke to Michael Carrick, Darren Fletcher, and a couple of the players, demanding for the Glazers to step down after Ed Woodward's resigning. So.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to see the fan reaction that's been happening over the last couple of days. I know for the Chelsea-Brighton game, there was huge protests outside the stadium. They were basically blocking off the road for the players and coaches to get into the stadium. I saw a video of those Chelsea protests, and you could see Petr Cech actually came out from the management and stuff, and he came and spoke to the fans and kind of pleaded to them, saying, it's not our fault. The players and coaches are not to blame. Make sure that you're doing this safely and responsibly. And you could totally understand the uproar and anger that the fans have been showing, because the honest truth, and there's no other way of looking at it, that these owners of these clubs, and the owners are the ones to blame. It's very obvious, and we need to clearly establish that the clubs themselves, the coaching staff, the players are not to blame. Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Juventus, Inter Milan, they're not the ones to blame, the clubs. It is the owners and the people in positions of power at these clubs, the chairmans, that have made this decision in order to try and create this thing, in order to make more money for their already filthy rich pockets.
That's the only reason it's been done.
That's pretty much why, because competition attracts more players. If there's no competition, you won't get the big names in football coming to your club, and that's the whole point of it.
Exactly. For the football structure in England and in the other leagues, I guess, is a pyramid structure. The money that goes into the very top of the game in each domestic league flows down to grassroots level. If the top 6 teams leave, all the viewership, all the money going into the Premier League at the very top, it doesn't come down anymore. The grassroots level structure breaks, then slowly each league becomes more and more redundant, and then the whole game just becomes, nothing.
The example I heard was, because this would be a midweek competition similar to the already established UEFA Champions League, was that, if based off their proposed, what they proposed was that they could be able to participate in their respective domestic competitions on top of this. And the way that I was hearing it, they would be prioritizing games in the Super League, and the Premier League, for example, would be basically become like that secondary competition. And the Premier League is one of the best competitions and well-run sports in the world, because it has so much competition. There's so much possibilities, and it's so unpredictable. And when you treat the Premier League, which is arguably, I would say, probably the most competitive domestic footballing league in Europe, like when you take that away and almost treat it like, an EFL Cup or one of those like lower league cups that no one really cares about in the grand scheme of things, and you have, your bench and your reserve players playing those games, it almost defeats the whole purpose, because obviously everyone's going to be prioritizing the Super League because that's where the more money and viewership is going to be. And I just think that's a very sad reality that I don't even think these people really considered.
It's shameful, yeah. And also, let's say they do. Let's say they did do that. They fielded their second teams and their reserve teams in the Premier League, and then let's say West Ham win the league or something, or Leicester win the league. It means less. Do you know what I mean? It's like the competition's out. What have we achieved? It's not like maybe in their heads they were like, oh, let's give someone else a chance to win the league. It's not like that. It's like those teams want to overcome the best. Sorry, they want to overcome the best. They don't want the competition to leave the window and then say, oh, we won the league.
Well, it goes back to when Leicester won the Premier League a couple years ago.
Exactly.
Like that them winning the league a couple years ago really set the foundation that any team can come into the Premier League despite your troubles, despite your history. If you get a good team, you get good management together, and you really work towards that goal of striving to beat the best and actually get some great momentum on your side, you can accomplish something amazing. And Leicester proved that. And since they won the Premier League, they have been a top team in the Premier League. I would say that they're better than some of these other teams that have been considered for the Super League. No offense, but Arsenal have no fucking right to be in a Super League.
I know. Why talk about Arsenal? At least we have history. Tottenham, how have Tottenham
Yeah.
It's a
gotten their way
fucking
into it?
joke. That's what it is.
It is shameful. It's purely because they have viewership rights. It genuinely doesn't make any sense. The current structure of Premier League to Champions League is based completely on merit. The way the Super League was proposed has nothing to do with merit. It has to do with it's a popularity contest.
100%.
It's who gets the most viewership, who's the most popular club. You get to be in this special rich boys league, and you can never leave. In the proposed structure, the founding members could never be relegated. So even if, let's say Arsenal went there, I'm confident we'd get smacked 6-0 every week. Real Madrid, freaking Ronaldo's going to score hat-tricks on us every single week. We'd finish last, and then we can't get relegated. We get another 3.5 billion or whatever it is the next year.
Yeah, it's just a way for them to just make a paycheck.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's absolutely
I think
ridiculous.
it's this principle that the German clubs said no, we don't want to join you guys.
Well, they have a very interesting situation because they have a 51% ownership by the fans.
Yes.
And obviously, if this proposed plan was given to them, I can imagine that the fans would have definitely not agreed with it, as shown by all the teams that were associated with it showed. So it's one of those things, obviously, I think it's admirable that Bayern Munich and PSG definitely said, no, definitely not. Let's, stay out of this one. And it's a shame that especially those 6 Premier League teams were involved. And, one of the news reports that I heard was that Chelsea and Manchester City were the 2 teams that were actually most hesitant about joining the Super League. And as a Chelsea fan myself, that gave me a little bit of okay, well, at least I've got that on my side. However, the bottom line is they still joined. Chelsea and Roman Abramovich still made the decision to join the Super League. So the fact that he made that decision proves that he can't be trusted because he still succumbed to the pressure of wanting to get all these clubs involved in the Super League in order to make that money. And I think it's just, like you said, shameful because it basically means that these owners only were going into it for the search of more money in their pockets and not for the search of fair competition and, like you said, merit. I think sport should be essentially built on a meritocracy where everyone is playing and the best go to the best. And if you're not good, yes, you go down, you get relegated, stuff like that. And to take that whole structure away and have this sort of competition where it's like, these are the teams that are in here, come watch them play, and everyone else can go fight, for scraps. I just think that's incredibly rude and disrespectful to European football as a whole.